A few months ago, I was meeting with an HR leader who felt completely defeated. Not a day went by when she didn't get a complaint from a team member complaining about their manager in some way. They hadn't set expectations. They gave feedback that didn't really make sense. The performance review had no substance. And they wondered, do I even have a future in this company? It was one exit interview after the next, one complaint after the next. And she thought to herself, gosh, these shouldn't really be issues handled by HR. These are issues that need to be handled at the manager layer. But the problem was they weren't because managers were not being trained. And as I talked to her and listened to these complaints and the frustration that she was feeling, I thought to myself, gosh, why aren't we training our managers? This isn't the manager's fault in and of itself. We don't just wake up knowing how to set expectations or have a hard feedback conversation or deal with all of the uncertainty we're dealing with right now out in the world. How would managers know? And I asked this HR leader, well, okay, what training do you have for your managers? What support have you given them? And she kind of just looked down and said, well, nothing really. We took our high performers and we asked them if they wanted to be managers, and they said, okay, fine. And we thought it would be okay. They were really, really strong performers. What went wrong? And I looked at her and I said, well, you didn't train them. We don't just know how to do the manager activities because someone told us, hey, tomorrow your title is manager. We don't learn that unless we've been trained, unless we've been coached, unless we've been given the tools to be successful. And that's when I shared the new Manager Playbook system with her. And immediately, within days of sharing the book with her managers, she found folks just approach the job a little bit differently. They used the tools around how to have one-on-ones, and they started to learn more about their team members. They understood how to give feedback more effectively without just giving generalizations, but getting specific. They learned how to give recognition so they could appreciate their teams. And the whole thing transformed. Every day, she didn't see complaints anymore. She saw faces light up, smiles in the hallways. She realized that this thing that felt like this unsolvable thing was completely resolved when she gave her managers the tools. Because again, they don't want to not be good at managing. They just didn't know how to do it. And that is what the new Manager Playbook will give you, tools to actually understand how to do the job. And that's why HR leaders are loving the system. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the show. I'm Lia Garvin, and this is the new Manager Playbook podcast, where I'm on a mission to make managing your team the easiest part of your job. And one of those tools is this podcast right here, right? The new Manager Playbook podcast is all about giving you tools on a weekly basis to make managing easier, to know how to handle some of these tough situations, like giving hard feedback or navigating hard conversations or delegating. But it all started with the book, The New Manager Playbook, because I wanted to create a really accessible, easy to apply playbook, literally by its name, where folks could check out exercises and stories and resources and apply them immediately to their teams. And HR leaders are loving it. This book is the go-to resource for managers and companies from Niantic to Google to Marshall & Sterling Insurance to Goodr Sunglasses. This book has become the go-to resource that folks are flocking to because it's easy to apply. Now, when I set out to write the book, I didn't want it to be one of these kind of academic, I'm looking back from my career where I haven't managed anyone for 30 years. I'm out of touch, right? The whole book was written because I've been in the shoes of the middle manager. I have literally managed former friends, given awkward feedback that didn't get the point across, struggled with performance reviews, felt micromanaged myself, and had to navigate the managing up part of managing, which is a big piece of it. I've been in every single situation that I talk about in the book. And that's why the book's so powerful, because it's not from this kind of, this is how you would do this in some situation, which I think a lot of our resources sometimes feel a little bit far removed. It's from the heart. I have been there. And so the way in which I teach the tools is super relatable because I know exactly, what doesn't really work. It's also to just breaking in for here for a second, why I strongly encourage you not to use, ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini to write out feedback to then read verbatim to your team, because I have been there and I've coached folks through giving hard feedback, and reading a script doesn't work. practicing role playing, saying it out loud with the script so you can kind of build muscle memory around it. Love that. And AI tools are fantastic for that. But actually just reading a script or sending it in an email and thinking it's all going to go well without all the context that you actually have as that human person, that's where it goes sideways. So that's why books like this still matter. That's why the podcast still matters. That's why the new Manager Playbook digital program that I've just launched are so game-changing, because it's not about taking that shortcut and jumping to, well, I'm just going to type it into AI and see what it says. It's considering the human side and the lived experience, right? And then it's giving you the tools based on that. So, and that's what teams are finding so game-changing, right? Because we're in a moment where so much is changing in the workplace. All right, we've got Gen Z entering the workforce in record numbers. And as I talked about a few times on this show, us understanding how to work with Gen Z, how to understand their goals and their ambitions and their relationship with time and work and loyalty, when we really understand that, that's where we're going to get the most out of these team members. And there's so much potential there. And that's where, when I interviewed with Grace Lee a few weeks ago, we had an awesome conversation about what is Gen Z looking for in their jobs. I recently talked about, how Gen Z is really utilizing AI and how to really best support that so that it's not a replacement, but it's a value add. And when you have these sort of different situations that can feel so challenging, right? So we said Gen Z. Now we have hybrid work, right? We have distributed teams in more than we ever had before. Folks all over the world navigating different time zones. You have constant change. Our teams are having to figure out how to, pivot and be more agile and change strategy and then incorporate AI and things like that in record rates. We're kind of figuring out, how do we do all this stuff? And all of that is falling on our middle managers to be dealing with, talking about, sorting out. And so, of course, if our managers aren't trained in the foundations, how to navigate change, how to have hard conversations, how to delegate, how to have one-on-ones, how to have career conversations, all of the tools that I teach in the new Manager Playbook book and that I teach in the new Manager Playbook digital program, how would we know? Literally. And so as a result of that, your managers don't know what to do. And so they either handle it poorly, and then you get a complaint to HR and you get one complaint after the next. And so HR teams are essentially operating as de facto managers, not scalable. That's if the managers handle it poorly. Or the manager doesn't know what to do, and then they're asking HR and they're pulling in HR and they're the de facto manager either way. And I'm seeing this every single day. I'm seeing HR teams spread way too thin. There is enough to figure out on kind of the organizational level, on the strategic direction, on supporting their senior leaders, and how are we setting up the infrastructure of this team, where they don't have the bandwidth to be pulled into low-level sort of issues. They also, in many situations, don't have the kind of tactical knowledge of what are the team's priorities? What are the business objectives? What are the things that manager actually does know and has to be guiding their team member around? So it's pulling HR into the weeds, and it's pulling them into areas that is really not where their sort of zone of expertise should be in. And it's really putting everyone into disservice. So our managers are burning out because they don't have the skills. And now our HR BPs and our HR representatives and our HR managers and our HR directors, they're burning out too. And everyone's freaking frustrated. Well, that's why we're loving the new Manager Playbook system, right? Because you have a book, a digital training, this podcast, all of the tools that you need to say, okay, I've got this figured out. I know how to move forward. I know how to have that hard conversation. I know what tool to give to a manager who's about to manage their former work bestie, and now they got to really switch up that relationship. That's the hardest thing that your team members will face, I assure you. Moving from friends to manager, that is a doozy that someone will probably botch if they don't have the tools to do that. Why? Because how do I know? Because I've screwed it up more than once. Because no one talked to me about how hard that is. If I had the new Manager Playbook when I started managing, oh my gosh, I would have felt like, okay, here's how to kind of approach this issue, and here's what to talk about, and here's what to do, and here's how to make sure that team member feels set up for success, and here's how to make sure I'm really clear on my role as a manager. I would have done the whole thing differently, saving my own manager and our HR partner so much time when that situation didn't go well. Now, I think a lot of us are feeling like, do I have the time? Do I have the budget? Do I have this? Do I really want to stop and give someone a resource, or like have someone ask someone to read a book, or stop and attend a training or whatever? You can't afford not to do that, because the time and money wasted from not having these things figured out, it's not like 2 times or 5 times. It's like 1,000 times worse. Okay. Take like meetings that run over. You know what I mean? This 15 minutes, 20 minutes that you don't have a clear agenda, and the one-on-one's not going anywhere, and like, you know, like that kind of thing alone will cost you thousands of dollars a week across your team. 2 people working on the same thing because your managers weren't super clear on how to set priorities and really make sure everyone had clear roles and responsibilities and clear marching orders. Having that, you are now paying two people to do one job. Okay, so you've now doubled whatever that person's salary was for no reason, and you have another job that's not being done because 2 people are doing one job over here. These are the kinds of things that we're cleaning up later, only to find that we spent tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars on unresolved issues because managers weren't trained. Now, if you're a middle manager listening to this, or a senior manager, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm kind of dealing with this, but I feel like I'm a little bit put on blast right here because it's not, I didn't get these tools. That's what I'm talking about. I was you. It is not your fault that you were asked to lead a team without any training or support. It's certainly not your fault. And it's not your HR team's fault either that they were asked to do the same thing. We've got to get our teams and our companies and our senior leaders and our business owners investing in building great teams, because this is truly the only thing that will set us apart as we're figuring out how to integrate AI, as we're trying to stay competitive, as we are onboarding the next generation of leaders into the workforce. This is the only way. So it is no one's fault, right? But it's like the Maya Angelou quote, once you know better, do better. We all have to do better because we know that there's a gap. Gallup came out recently with the non-surprising stat that employee engagement is at a record low. I think it was 79% of employees feel disengaged. Who's surprised? Not me. Because how do we feel engaged when we don't get support from our companies, when we don't get support from our own leaders? And managers are reporting the most disengagement of all. And those are the people that are supposed to keep people motivated. And I know my managers listening right now are like, well, how am I supposed to do that? I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. I'm supposed to tell my team, what's going on with AI? Are they going to be replaced? I don't know. I'm supposed to tell my team there's not going to be reorgs, or, what's happening with the competitor out there, and if we're still going to have to do this project or we're going to have to shift to that. I don't know. I'm supposed to help a new team member feel engaged when they're asking, when they're just not that excited about what they're working on. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you signed up for this job, not really my problem. I don't know how to handle that. I'm supposed to feel engaged when I'm managing someone that I used to be really close friends with, and they didn't take the news really well, and now it's super awkward, and they won't listen to me, and they won't take my feedback, and they won't do anything I ask them. Situation I've been in. I'm supposed to be liking my job as a leader? No, I don't, right? And these types of issues are what goes straight to HR and what's drowning our HR teams. So we're all really suffering. And again, that is why the new Manager Playbook book has been so game-changing, because it's finally this tool that people have. Hey, go to the feedback section, try it out. Go to the conflict section, try it out. Start myth-busting delegating, try it out. Because all we want is, hey, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's what the book does. It tells you what to do. And so the book has been endorsed by leaders at Google and Meta and Microsoft and Reddit and Strava, because it is the tool that we all wish we had when we got started. It is literally the tool that we all wish we had when we got started. Again, that's why I wrote it, because I was like, well, I can't have conversation after conversation with people every single day where they're saying like, what do I give to my new managers? What do I give to my seasoned managers in new situations? What do I give to my executive team that's facing like, hey, we grew through the ranks quickly and we're struggling with some of these foundational things? Well, the answer, what you give to them is the new Manager Playbook. You give them the book. And if you really want to up-level your people quickly, you give them the digital program. because that's where you see that rapid shift. You read it, you try the tools, you get the program, you're practicing, you're really building that. And it doesn't take long. That's the beauty of it, right? So when you're finding that, gosh, I'm solving the same problems over and over, I'm having the same conversations over and over, now it's where it's on you to do something about it. And that's why when teams deploy, they share the book with their teams, or they're onboarding folks, they're getting them through the digital program. It is literally like overnight we start seeing stuff, because the solutions are simple, right? But they're not easy. So it's simple to apply a feedback framework, but it's like, you got to do it. You got to try it, right? But when you know is when you can do it. You say, okay, I've got the tools, right? It's like I'm training for this High Rocks thing. It's kind of like a fitness competition, like a Spartan race, but you do these different exercises and you run. It's kind of like, let's just call it like a Spartan race or something like that, or a Tough Mudder. Well, I know what all the exercises are. Okay, I'm aware of them. But until I start doing the reps and doing the squats and the burpees and the jumps and the different things, I don't really know what's going to be hard or not, right? So the whole piece of it is the practice. And I think that's where we get stuck with training. Like we think, well, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. My manager should know, but just because they know doesn't mean they're doing it. Okay. So be the team that not only knows you have a problem, but is doing the reps. Okay. This book is the burpees. This book is your walking lunges if we're training for the same thing, right? This book is going to get people focused on the right thing. It's going to help people feel supported. And I always say it when teams, when it's managers or individual contributors or anyone in between, when people feel invested in, they invest back. In a moment where engagement is so low, 80%, 79%, 80% feel disengaged. Yikes. 4 out of 5 people feel disengaged. Yikes. We've got a problem. Okay. We've got to do something about it. When we give people the tools and we say, hey, I'm investing in you. I've gotten you this resource. Everyone check out this book. It's a fun, lightweight read. It's going to help you feel like, yes, I've got some answers to the questions I have. They invest back. When we say, hey, we brought in this digital program. We know you don't have a lot of time. We know you want to work on this asynchronously. The program takes 4 to 6 hours. Just jump onto it when you have time. We're going to discuss it after. When you feel like, wow, I'm being invested in. Now you invest back. So this is why HR leaders, executives, everything in between are loving the new Manager Playbook, because it gives you everything you need. And it's finally answering that question, hey, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And this is going to be the solution to engagement. This is going to be the solution to manager burnout. This is going to be the solution to figuring out how to navigate all the uncertainty, because we are giving people the tools and we are believing in them, that when they have the tools, they will apply them. They will do right by us. We've got to believe it. But we have to give them support. So how do I get set up with these things? Email me at hello@liagarvin.com. Say, I want books for my team. We'll get you set up with the book order. Or say, hey, I want to check out the demo for the digital program. We'll get you set up with a demo. And you'll finally have that relief that you have been looking for. And trust me, it is almost the end of the year. We got a couple months left. Everyone is looking for, how do I keep folks engaged? The new Manager Playbook system is going to help you end strong in the end of the year and really start 2026 strong. I can't believe we're talking about 2026, but that's where we're at. Email me at hello@liagarvin.com. Ask about the book or ask about the digital program, and we will get you set up with everything you need.